So what we have in department location is a composite key. The only way to specify a composite key is using Fluent API. And we can add Fluent API to our context file. And there already is some Fluent API in there anyway, because that's where we put our seed data. So our procedure here is we're going to add entity framework to our project and run a build. Then we're going to create our context file. Then we are going to configure app settings.json for our database. We're going to add the dependency injection to program CS, save everything, run a build. Everything works. We are going to perform migrations. Then we are going to check to make sure that the database tables were created correctly. And we will perform the scaffolding to generate the controllers and views. Okay, after we've got that scaffolding, I am going to have you enter some menu entries in layout for the navigation menu, and then you can go ahead and run and test the app. So adding entity framework. Okay, the important thing when you add is that you add using the same version that you created your project in. So if your project is .NET 6, use version 6. If you did .NET 7, use version 7. Okay, and so I've already added it to mine, so it'll show up under installed. And you only really need to do SQL Server, Microsoft Entity Framework Core SQL Server, and Microsoft Entity Framework Core Tools. And you can see that I installed version 7 because this is a version 7 app. Okay, and if you're ever curious about, what these do, the Core Tools is the one that allows us to do the migrations and all of that kind of fun stuff and all the scaffolding and things that make our life easier. Okay, so make sure you install both of those. Then you're going to create your context file. We're going to call it employee context. And so I have given you a whole lot of code for this. So if you select the link, I've basically given you the code to create the tables. I have given you the code for all of the seed data. Okay, and so what you are going to focus on is the code for the relationships. Okay, so this is the Fluent API. And you can see I actually put in comments here where you need to add that code. Okay, so you're going to copy and paste all of this into the employee context. And then this is where the code is located that you need to enter. And you do want to be very, very careful when you're entering this. And so, because this is not only specifying columns, but it's also specifying the tables here. So you've got department location has key. Okay, and so this is how we're creating that composite key. And then here we've got the relationship between department and department location. So here is department, which is our table, has a many relationship with department locations. And here it's specifying the foreign key. And then here is the other side, location. That table has a many relationship with department locations, and we're specifying the foreign key. This is where we are specifying our one-to-one relationship. So here we've got, and you'll notice that this was has one with many. This is has one with one. okay, 1-to-1. Okay, so here we've got our table, and then here we've got the column. And again, here we've got the benefit table, and then here we've got the column. Okay, so this is what you need to key in. And then once you get that keyed in, I would save it and run a build. If you get any red squiggles anywhere, then you've miskeyed something and you need to take another look. And it is easy to miskey things here. Once you get a clean compile, it looks good. You're going to adjust your JSON file, and you're basically going to be adding your connection string. Then for your program CS, you are going to add the dependency injection, which is going to give you all of those services that we need for our context. At this point, you're going to want to save everything and run a build. Then you are going to perform your migrations. So you're going to do an add migration. We'll call it initial create. Okay, that is going to give you 2 files in the migrations folder. It'll give you the main file, and then it's going to give you the designer one with your data annotations. Okay, and then you'll update the database, and that is where your database and tables are going to be created. And yours should look similar to this example. And then I would also take a look at the data in the tables because we did seed them. So you should be able to right click on any of these tables and select view data. In fact, I can show you. I go into the SQL Server Object Explorer. Widen this up. So for code first, everything goes in this first server. You might notice there's another server labeled project models. That's for database first. Okay, so here's all of my code first. And I should tell you, you know, if you've got a bunch of stuff in here you don't want, you can always right click and delete them. So it's not like you can't regenerate it. Anytime you open a project that has migrations, you can just update database and it'll create it again. But here is my chapter 12. Okay, and so if I wanted to see any of them like employees, I can just right click and view data. And let me see. Here's my departments, my benefits. Okay, and so on. So all of the data is there. At this point, you have your database and all you need are controllers and views. So you are going to create a controller with views for every single class. So you'll do it for employees, benefits, departments, locations, and even department locations. Okay, and then you are going to want to modify your layout. Okay, and when you modify the layout, you are going to want to make sure. So what I did was I just copied the home and pasted it like 6 times. And then you don't have to change ASP action because we want to go to the index action method. But what you're going to have to change is the controller. And then you're going to have to change the text that is displaying in the menu. And then if you are unsure of what the controller names are, I would just expand out controller because you can see them. That way you know exactly how to enter those. And then over here, you know, these can kind of be whatever makes sense. Okay, and then once you've got all of that, you can go ahead and run the app. Okay. And so you should be able to view everything. You could edit. You should be able to add, delete, etc. You're going to want to save all your changes and then add that app to GitHub.